fiancé's mom thinks our engagement is about her, bombards us with gifts and surprise plans, and finally launches a family newsletter. My fiancé, 30 male, and I, 27F, have been dating for 3 years and got engaged 2 months ago. My fiancé didn't introduce me to his parents until a year into the relationship, but the past 2 years have been good. I got along really well with his parents and always enjoyed spending time or talking to them. They always expressed that they liked me and never gave me or him a reason to believe they didn't. There were a couple of off comments Fmeal made in the past that I'll list, but I didn't think they were that big of a deal, we just ignored them. After sharing what neat freaks my parents were, Fmeal said at a family dinner, "I can't understand how anyone can live that way, they would have to be crazy." Fmeal is extremely messy when hosting Thanksgiving in our new apartment for the first time. It's like you guys are playing house. When talking about wanting to move back to the city I went to college to because I had good job offers there and the cost of living is lower, I can't understand why anyone would want to live there. Fmeal lives near our current place, so we would be moving further away. 2 months ago my fiancé proposed. We immediately took a picture and sent it to his family. We were excited to share the news. Fmeal responded with "What's that on her finger?" and my fiancé texted an engagement ring. His sister responded with congratulations and excitement, but Fmeal instead sent him a private message about how "I'll just have to accept that you don't want me in your life and don't want to share things with me." It was a whole essay about how upset she was and how she wishes they were closer and so on. Now fiancé isn't great about sharing a lot of things, but we visit his parents multiple times a year. They almost never make the effort to visit us, celebrate multiple holidays with them, including doing a whole thing for Mother's Day and her birthday. He calls her at least once a month, plus anytime we have things to share with them like trip updates, and there's a family group text that he will send small updates on. Of course this really upset my fiancé and the mood was ruined. It was nighttime, so we went home and soon got a call from his dad asking when he proposed and why didn't he share it with them. My fiancé said he just proposed tonight and that they were the first people he told, to which his dad said, "Oh, we thought you proposed previously and didn't tell us, congratulations." Then his dad said he should talk to Fmeal. She then started saying awful stuff and being mean. She was very upset and said, "Why didn't you ask me to go ring shopping with you?" He said, "I just didn't think of that." And she said, "I mean, did you think about how happy that would have made me? Did you think about how I would feel at all?" And the worst, she ended the call with, "I wish you would go to therapy so that I wouldn't have to feel so lonely." She also said to tell me I'm happy if she's happy, which I can't place why, but that really bothers me. Maybe I'm crazy, so let me know if I am, but why couldn't she just say she was happy for us? She then tried to plan an engagement party but told us it would have to be between 2 dates based on her friend, who wanted to host it and who I only met once, and his sister's availability. Her friend's house is 3 hours from us and we don't have a car and is of no significance to my fiancé other than being Fmeal's friend. After not responding to her invite for a week, we were emotionally exhausted and wanted to wait until the weekend to respond. She got upset and said my fiancé was punishing her for no reason and he was being disrespectful by not responding. When he explained why we were hurt and upset, she got upset and sent another long nasty text. She said her reaction had nothing to do with our engagement and was between her and him, implying I had no business knowing about her outburst. She said she barely knew me and only can think of 2 dinners we had together. We've known each other for 2 years and we've even sent private texts to each other. I've also been on many phone calls with my fiancé and his parents. I would guess we've spent at least 10 occasions in person together, each time almost the whole day. She's also never made any comments before about wanting to spend more time or get to know me more. She then made a comment about me having a bad relationship with my parents and saying I treat them badly. I have emotionally abusive parents and have gone through years of therapy for it. I'm very low contact with them. My fiancé responded with another text explaining we needed time and that she spoiled our engagement. She eventually sent us both a text apologizing. Here are the main points. She said she regrets her reaction to our engagement. She asked for a do-over and to pretend it never happened. She said that was easier than wishing she was someone else and explained how she has always been like this and my fiancé knows that. And then said her outburst happens because of fatigue, hunger, trauma, medication, ADHD, etc. She said her reaction had nothing to do with me. She said she made comments about my parents out of ignorance. She said if she had known I was listening she wouldn't have asked my fiancé to consider going ring shopping with her. She ended with a story about how his father never proposed to her and his father's mother offered to pick out a ring for her and she said no thanks. No explanation as to why she wanted to share that story. A few weeks ago we called my fiancé's parents to speak about the situation and we got more deflection/reasonings, our feelings being dismissed, and a lot of small talk/changing the topic. When my fiancé asked that Fmeal not have harsh reactions in the future, she responded with "I'll try but we'll see." My fiancé since then saw a therapist and we have spoken a lot about the stress this has put on our relationship. We haven't gotten to
celebrate our engagement at all and have had many arguments about this because he doesn't recognize the emotional manipulation patterns she has and I have to point them out. Also his dad and sister keep enabling her. They will admit to us Fmeal is wrong but that we need to be understanding or that that's just how she is and we should do X, Y and Z to keep the peace. He has grown a lot in the past 2 months from excusing/wanting to keep working on it with his parents to realizing their poor behavior, but it's been hard on me because all of this is exactly how my parents treated me growing up. I hate walking on eggshells or prioritizing other people's happiness or the peace over being treated with respect.
We had another phone call with his parents tonight as my fiancée wanted one more before agreeing to boundaries. It was awful. Fmil kept saying we were being hurtful and she can't control our feelings / it's our fault that we are upset. The phone call became about how much his parents are upset by my fiancé not sharing enough, and when we explained that we are scared to share due to her reactions, they said that wasn't fair and that she can't change who she is. That she didn't intend to be hurtful, so we can't hold that against her, and the only way to solve this is to share more. They kept being dismissive of both of our feelings and not letting us finish talking, while also saying, "But I just don't understand why you feel that way," as we are trying to explain. They also kept saying my feelings weren't valid because this isn't about me, and so many other awful things. His dad's response to me saying we don't know what we can or can't say that will tick her off was, "Well, that's because you don't know her well enough. If you did, you would know what her sensitivities are." Fmil kept saying we were saying she wasn't allowed to have feelings, which isn't what we were saying at all. When I explained how my fiancé had a problem sharing with me early in our relationship and I approached that with understanding and love and not criticism, she said, "Well, sorry, I can't be you." And of course the constant "how can you say that after Fmil raised you and loves you so much?" Basically, I'm writing this because I feel insane. I can't really vent to my fiancé because I know this is hard on him, and from personal experience I know that criticizing his parents heavily will push him away and make it harder for him to realize how bad they are. Also, I'm trying to be understanding since it took me years to realize how bad my parents were, and that was through therapy and slowly distancing myself from them. I know this is a lot for him to deal with in only a couple of months. But I need someone to tell me if my feelings are valid or not, or if I'm letting my trauma with my parents misguide me. That's something his parents said, that I was making them into my parents, but they're not. Here's how I really feel. Adding the context that I loved his parents and imagined a very close future relationship prior to our engagement blow up. I think they are awful people. I think his mother feels entitled to being in his life in the way she wants to, regardless of how he feels. I think she is self-centered and selfish. She is emotionally abusive and tries to make people feel bad for wanting or feeling anything that doesn't align with her. She can never say sorry. It's always excuses, or "I'm sorry you feel that way," or "I'm sorry that happened." How about "I'm sorry I said awful things and I hurt your feelings?" She is always the victim. Like, how dare we be upset with her? I think she has no life, she doesn't have a job, and she complains about almost all of her friends. His dad is an enabler, and I can't believe he doesn't see it because she does it to him too. I'm so emotionally exhausted and I'm scared I'm taking it out on my fiancé. At the same time I feel so neglected. There's no one who will tell me what assholes his parents are, no one seems to understand, and I feel bad every time I'm upset or call out that they are being emotional abusive because I feel so alone in seeing them for who they truly are. Any comments or advice are welcomed. I just want to have a truly honest conversation about this without worrying about my fiancé's feelings or his family's feelings. Update 1. Phew. So, first, thank you everybody for all your helpful and validating responses. I read every single one, sometimes more than once, and it's honestly helped keep me grounded through what turned out to be a completely overwhelming couple of weeks. After that last phone call, a disaster by anyone's definition, my fiancé and I took a whole weekend to regroup. We barely talked about his parents at all. I spent one afternoon curled up in bed with junk food and Netflix, and he went for the longest run of his life. But by Sunday night, I brought up therapy again and how helpful it was to talk about my parents with someone outside the situation. To my surprise, he had already booked a solo session, with a new therapist, for Monday. I could have hugged him through the ceiling. What's wild is that the next day, Fmil airdropped the weirdest, most manipulative group text I've ever received in my life, with a screenshot of a classic mother and son poem, several blurry photos of my fiancé as a toddler, and one of those giant blocks of text that makes your phone screen look like it's been overtaken by a high school essay. She finished with, "I kid you not," a selfie of her making a pouty face caption, "Don't forget who your first love was." I'm not making this up. My fiancé opened it first, let out one strangled "what the fuck," and then just started laughing. He laughed so hard he had to sit down. I'd have been worried if he didn't also look so visibly relieved. It was like a switch had finally flipped for him, and all the "my mom just means well" defenses kind of broke down in real time. We didn't reply to the text. We didn't even bring it up right away. Instead, we did something drastic. We celebrated our engagement, just us. I managed to reserve a table at our favorite little Italian place, and we dressed up and didn't check our phones the whole night. Zero parent talk allowed. We did cheesy engagement selfies, split a bottle of wine, got super nostalgic about our early dates, and actually let ourselves be happy for the first time since the ring photo text. And then, 2 days later, the next bomb dropped. Fmil showed up at our apartment. Unannounced. We live in a city, she lives nearly 2 hours away by train. She called my fiancé from the car, crying. He answered, thinking it might be an emergency, because, what if something actually happened this time, and she dropped, "I'm 5 minutes away." A moment of pure panic ensued. My fiancé actually let her wait in the lobby for 20 minutes while we debated what on earth to do. This mildly improved my respect for his spine. I'd like to say I was calm and logical, but the truth is, my hands were shaking. The last time my mother did something like this, I was in college and had to hide in the library for 4 hours. In the end, we invited her up, but with massive boundaries. We met her in the hallway and my fiancé started recording the interaction on his phone, just in case. He didn't even tell me until after. Progress, Fmeal came prepared, with apology presents. One was a mug that said "World's Best Daughter-in-Law" in Comic Sans. The other was a throw blanket with a stock photo family embroidered onto the corner. She started off weepy and launched immediately into stories about feeling replaced, how she had a mother-in-law who never included her. You don't know what it's like, then pivoted to how she can't help it because her therapist is on vacation and she has a chemical sensitivity that makes her emotional in new places. I went full gray rock. My fiancé handled the majority with, "Thank you for coming, this must have been a stressful trip. But we need to talk about boundaries." Huge, tense moment of silence. She argued. He drew a line. She kept circling around, trying to get him to say something that would let her feel wronged again. But every time, he paused and calmly repeated a version of, "I am allowed to have my own life. We are happy. We are not discussing this further. You can support us or not." I honestly thought my heart was going to burst with pride. She finally left after about an hour, but not before telling me quietly, right next to the elevator, through perfectly gritted teeth, that marriage is harder than I think, and a mother-in-law can be your greatest enemy or your closest ally. I just blinked at her. The elevator couldn't have come fast enough. Here's the truly surreal fallout. The next weekend, we got a long, thoughtful email from his sister. She apologized not just for their parents but for her own enablement, said she'd been reading up on dysfunctional families and had just started therapy herself, and sent us an actual therapist's resource link. For the first time, someone in his family validated every single one of my concerns, specifically naming Fmeal's emotional manipulation. I almost cried reading it. Meanwhile, Fmeal went silent. My fiancé's dad called to check in 2 days afterward, but made it very clear that they were taking space to figure things out and currently re-examining communication family-wide. Did I mention Fmeal got a Facebook ban for a weekend because she spammed my fiancé with so many "I miss my boy" posts that a couple algorithmic mods flagged it as bot behavior? And here's one more. My fiancé told his boss everything because work was noticing his stress. His boss shared that he had toxic in-laws too, and promptly gave him extra time off. For the first time in this saga, I feel like the universe is pitching in a little. We're still figuring out what kind of contact there will be. My fiancé is gently, permanently lowering expectations, a little more LC with his parents, lots of check-ins with his sister, and an actual vision for our own wedding that doesn't involve any new mother and son-themed merchandise. He still slips, but every time he holds a boundary or names the manipulation, I see him getting lighter. We might have picked the weirdest way ever to start our engagement, but God, if this doesn't solidify our team-ness for marriage, nothing will. I know this was long, but I wanted to give everyone who supported me the full crazy play-by-play. In summary, more revelations, more therapy, for everyone, a new champion in his sister, and a fiancé I've never admired more. We're tired, but we're okay. Update 2. It's surreal how quickly things escalate and mutate when you think you've finally hit a point of stability. I honestly thought after Fmeal's drop-in, the great mug and blanket apology, as we've dubbed it, there would be a blessed period of radio silence. I would have even, at that point, taken sullen, passive-aggressive texts over what came next. Because, oh boy, folks, Fmeal entered her grand gesture era. Strap in. The first clue something was up came a few days after her visit, when Amazon packages started arriving for us nearly every day. It started innocently, a bread-proofing basket? We make our own pizza but have never baked bread, a set of Laugh Live Love tea towels, a 1,000-piece Thomas Kincaid puzzle. It got weirder, a self-help book about healing the mother wound, with an inscription, "Not sure if this helps, but it changed my life. Love, Fmeal," a t-shirt for my fiancé that says "Mama's boy but taken." A silk eye mask with the phrase "resting daughter-in-law face." I wish I was making this up. We tried to ignore it, sending exactly one "thank you" text, "We appreciate the gifts, but please don't send more, our tiny apartment is full." That just seemed to encourage her. One day, my fiancé went down to the lobby and found a congratulations balloon bouquet addressed to the new family. It was sent through a party supply service. On the card, in Fmeal's loopy script, "Remember, you picked me too." We started bringing the daily packages to Goodwill, saving only the puzzle because his father actually texted him privately a week later to ask if the family puzzle would be out for next Thanksgiving. All seemed relatively containable, until his sister, a bona fide hero at this point, texted us both out of the blue. "So, is Mom making a video for your engagement party?" We had no idea what she meant, since, as far as we knew, there was no engagement party. Turns out Fmeal, following our repeated, clear boundary that we would plan and announce our own celebrations, had taken it upon herself to host an online engagement surprise event. Without telling us, she sent e-invites to 20 relatives, 8 of whom I had never met. There was a Google form for RSVPs with questions like favorite memory of the happy couple and, I swear, should future grandchildren be raised more like John, fiancé, or his mother. His sister caught wind of all this because Fmeal had commissioned her to put together a slideshow, which would culminate with a recorded message from both of us about our hopes for blending families. This was news to us. Apparently, Fmeal instructed her, leave the last 5 slides blank. I'm going to put in some baby pictures of me and her parents, even if they don't show up, so our sides can feel connected. You'd think that the whole inviting ex-in-laws I don't speak to on purpose would be the pinnacle, but no. I wish. The capstone came when my fiancé's childhood friend, best man material but a chronic oversharer, messaged both of us, congrats. Can't believe you guys are doing a Zoom party so soon after the incident. Guess you worked it all out? Your mom's email was kind of a lot. She asked if I could do a toast about how she shaped your taste in women. The words taste in women may never recover for me. So. My fiancé called his sister, who FaceTimed us from her car parked outside a therapy session, cackling. Do you want me to nuke this at the source? Or is it time for you guys to go nuclear? After some debate, we crafted a group text of Fmeal, ceasing the sister, his dad, and even the party planning friend. We love that you want to celebrate. Please cancel the surprise event and let us share the plans when we're ready. We will not be participating in video interviews, slideshows, or Q&As. We ask that you do not contact our friends or extended family without our permission about future gatherings. His dad replied with a single understood. Fmeal. Went dark. For about 24 hours, I felt this weird, fragile, unprecedented peace. My fiancé and I took the night off and lived recklessly. We registered for a cake tasting, ordered more wedding invitation samples than we could possibly need, and sent his sister cheeky fake RSVP answers. Should future children be raised by wolves? YN. We even talked about eloping, not seriously, but with more affection than we ever expected we'd feel about the idea. The Fmeal silence didn't last. We woke up the next morning to an email newsletter. Yes, you read that right. Family Togetherness News, the official update, Volume 1, complete with headers, clip art, and a letter from the editor segment. Fmeal had started a Substack to keep everyone in the loop, describing herself as a mother navigating the next exciting chapter of love and loss, the loss of her son to another woman. Sis screenshot and sent it to us as soon as she got it. Check out paragraph 2. I can't. Paragraph 2 was, John's fiancé comes from a very tidy family, but I think we can all agree you can be a little messy in love. She included a link to that mother and son poem, again, this time illustrated with emojis. Okay, at this point, we had to laugh. My best friend and his sister started a drinking game for every time Fmeal said the words my boy or blending families in the newsletter. It was becoming so cartoonish it almost felt less personal, which, strangely, helped. We figured, hey, let her write her melodramatic saga if she wants, as long as she obeys our boundaries. Then. The wedding planners started calling. Apparently, Fmeal had inquired with 3 different local wedding planners, giving them both of our names, our number, and an incorrect wedding date. You'll want to pencil them in for June 13th. I'm so excited. She asked each to send us their favorite whimsical motherson dance ideas, and that she'd be covering payment for anything family inclusive that helps John feel close to his roots. My fiancé found out when a cheerful planner called and congratulated him on the dual motherson waltz and slideshow moment. At this point, my fiancé lost his entire will to be understanding. He texted his mother directly, cancel everything you have initiated for us, vendors, emails, slideshows, newsletters. Stop. If you continue, you will be uninvited from our wedding. This is the last warning. Then blocked her. His sister coached him through the whole thing, and sent him a meme-laden pep talk. I never thought we'd get here, she texted me separately. I'm finally proud of my brother. I won't lie, it was a tough few days after that. His dad called, tried to guilt him, and got nowhere. Fmeal is posting inspirational Facebook memes about estrangement and letting your children fly but hasn't contacted us directly outside the newsletter, which is now set to spam. His sister is openly team reasonable family and we group chat on the regular, complete with therapy memes and pictures of her new dog. But the fog is finally lifting. My fiancé admits he feels both grieved and relieved. We got to take a weekend trip, just us, just celebrating, and share the news with friends on our own terms. For the first time, the engagement feels real. The most hopeful thing, at the last therapy appointment, my fiancé said, genuinely, for the first time, I don't have to let my mom dictate how happy we are. I think that's worth every mug, every meme, and every bizarre Substack post we've received. The wedding will be ours. The boundaries are finally sticking. Update 3. Looking back, if you'd told me early engagement would trigger a mother-in-law mystery box subscription service, a guerrilla slideshow campaign, and what can only be described as the attack of the flying vendor calls, I'd have said you massively overestimated Fmeal's energy level. I have never been more wrong in my life. First, somehow, against all odds, I wish I could say things calmed down after the newsletter stunt. That, like some strict universe-powered cause and effect, Fmeal getting blocked finally flicked the necessary switch. For one precious week, it almost seemed so. I watched my fiancé walk around lighter. His sister texted us dumb dog memes at midnight. We spent way too long debating the merits of Neapolitan versus funfetti for the cake. And then, of course, the universe bashed in with a sledgehammer called family emergency. It started innocuously, a short but cryptic text from Fmeal's husband, your mother's in the ER. Please call. It's not serious. The last time we got a message that started like that, it was about a burned finger and ended with an Amazon wish list for spa gift cards. But obviously, you call. You always call. She'd fainted, likely dehydration, genuinely nothing major. But as soon as we're patched into the hospital's family room, Fmeel launches into a teary, self-pitying monologue about the shock of being blocked, and how she knew stress would make her sick. I wish I was exaggerating, but she actually produced a printout, literal hospital printer paper, with her blood pressure numbers on it, asking if these qualified as rejection-induced tachycardia. This was her chosen moment to dramatically offer my fiancé right of first refusal for her medical wishes, should anything happen. In front of the nurse. You know those medical sitcoms with the inappropriate family at the bedside? We are them now. This would have been sad, possibly even sweet, if it weren't followed, before she'd even left her gurney, by a call to his sister and a flurry of WhatsApp messages to various cousins about the ordeal of having children who do not care if you die. Heavy on emoji skulls, this left us both reeling, exhausted, and, oddly, more united. We decided together that his sister would take the reins on hospital help, dealing solely with his dad unless a genuine medical emergency arose. Fmeel was out of the chat. The next insane phase was the UN friending campaign on Facebook. It began with a mass, highly public cull of old family friends, anyone who'd commented on either of our engagement posts, and, most telling, her own sister, with a caption, "Sometimes you can't let toxicity win, even when it's blood." Here's where things went from tragic to comedic again. She accidentally unfriended her boss, then posted about it, which led to the boss texting my fiancé to clarify if everything is alright at home. Cue the world's weirdest HR check-in. And then, because Fmeel evidently believes in always raising the stakes, we were contacted by a new age family healing facilitator named Daphne, who cheerily DM'd both of us that Fmeel had invited her to open a sacred channel in anticipation of your future wedding unity. Picture the font in Comic Sans. We politely declined the free 30-minute relationship energy cleanse, and blocked her too. If Daphne ever writes to you, you have my blessing to send her this thread. All of this was background noise compared to the biggest actual change, which came not from Fmeel, but from her husband. He called my fiancé for an actual heart-to-heart, his first unscheduled, one-on-one call-in. Ever? He confessed that he'd been playing peacemaker by default, but after witnessing both the newsletter incident and the ER drama, finally realized something isn't right with how mom relates to the two of you. Direct quote, "I nearly spat my tea when my fiancé recounted this. He started seeing a counselor at his work EAP service, and told us that, for the first time, he's considering marital counseling with Fmeel, even if she goes just to talk about the cat." This was shocking in the best way, and it led to a few much healthier boundaries. Fmeel's husband handles all non-emergency communication. We hold our ground around wedding plans. No gifts are accepted, and unopened packages now go right back to sender, per his agreement. It's been a breath of fresh air. We even got our own win in the meantime. We finalized our wedding venue, an old library turned garden hall, with massive windows and no room for knickknacks or staged mama's slideshow moments. Invites are out, and very pointedly, the RSVP for Fmeel and Phil reads, "Please RSVP for dinner only, no speeches, slides or surprises." Here's my favorite update, though, we found our tribe. Turns out, the hidden extended family, his aunts, cousins, a couple of his childhood teachers, have all been quietly rooting for us. News of the Substack drama and Daphne the healer somehow trickled out, and we've started getting actual supportive texts. "Can we help run interference on wedding day? And we'll bring only gifts from the registry." His sister's dog, at my suggestion, is coming to the after party in a tuxedo printed bandana. Greatest RSVP yes ever. Fmeel, meanwhile, has struggled to get a new foothold. She attempted to crash a virtual pre-wedding girls' night I co-hosted via Zoom. Her excuse, she saw it in her Google Calendar, because 2 years ago she'd been invited to a game night for my birthday and never deleted the invite. She spent 2 whole minutes showing off a custom wine glass that says mother of the groom, always in the picture, and when the chat stayed stonily silent, she logged off and, according to the group chat, immediately started her 4th Substack, this one titled How to Celebrate Your Son's Wedding Even If Your Own Family Betrays You. We ignore it. Dog jokes flow. My heart feels safe for the first time in ages. Probably the best twist, my fiancé and I decided to write our own little script for every possible Fmeel attack event. We have our responses, our escape plans, and, most importantly, our support system, no longer just us. When we let go of controlling her reactions, the wedding, and the future, stopped feeling like a Reddit cliché and started feeling like our life. And when my fiancé smiled over dinner last night and said, "I almost feel sorry for her, spending this much energy when she could just be invited to the fun," I realized, the cycle is really, truly snapping.